for hours, days, weeks, put it together. There's 16 bars, 16 bars of hook, then in and out. They're making songs, right? That is something else. They want to call it rap music. They can call it rap music because the people are rapping. But then we need to define what that is because you got a lot of rappers who sing now. They really don't rap. They use the and if we want to do that, we could take it back to Marvin Gaye and Trouble Man.
He sang all over that and was rapping.
But I do love Trouble Man. But I think because I don't want to dismiss the fact that we should be able to evolve an art form. And there were people back then who were out before Marvin Gaye that would say what he was doing wasn't soul. Right? There's always going to be the old folk, so to speak, who go, that's not what it was, so therefore it cannot be, or it is not it.
But to hear what they did it very clearly. They changed the name.
Why do you need to change the name? Why does it have to be changed in order to evolve?
Because once you make it something else, it needs to be changed, and you need to control the narrative. The problem is we're not controlling the narrative, right? Not saying that we ever really did, but
once it became label ready and prepared for labels, no, you didn't
control the narrative. The problem is if you don't make designations, and true descriptions, what will happen is things will get lumped in, and you get a clusterfuck.
I don't necessarily disagree with you, John. I don't necessarily disagree that it's just that if it's not defined, any and everything can seep in. I don't disagree with you there. Where I think I have a concern is, okay, so we stopped calling it hip hop, right?
And we can call the culture hip hop.
Okay.
And a part of hip hop's culture is rap music.
Okay, but so you would have people like DJ Herc, Kumo D, Curtis Blow, that if a rapper said that the impetus of rap is Jay-Z, anybody post late 80s, meaning 90s forward, that's where rap begins. You would have those elders who created what you call hip hop and MCing, you would have them be upset about that because they would not want to see that separation. They want to be able to claim the current format as something that derived from what they created and not call it anything different. And I do think it's semantics. At the end of the day, the art form has changed. And for the people who are true creators, meaning the people who make their money like this, the people who will go broke for it, the people who spend their time in rap and hip hop and things like that, their creativity is something that they value so much that they don't want the person who doesn't do what they do 24/7 to be able to say, oh, well, it's not really that anymore. They're like, it is that. We evolved it. That's part of creativity.
So those people know the difference and knew the difference, right? Curtis Blow never claimed to be an MC. He's definitely a rapper. Mm-hmm. And the reason he's a rapper is he did not promote a DJ. See, when you have an MC, an MC's purpose is to promote a DJ. So you'll see Eric B. and Rakim.
Right.
Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince.
Right.
Right. So those were MCs because they bolstered DJs. That was the whole point. So now you get rappers who just do lyrics on these pre-constructed beats and songs. Nas is not an MC. He never boasted a DJ.
He would never say he's an MC.
Right. He's a rapper. He's very good.
Hey, Nas,
he's a lyricist. Right? He's a lyricist. He's a much, and there's another thing. Nas is a much better lyricist than he is rapper because sometimes he trips over his own words. You get people, you have some people who have an incredible ability to speak and deliver with cadence and rhythm and so on and so forth. And then you got some people who could just write, and you have very few who can put it together and make it good and be able to, turn it around differently at at
Well,
will.
that is lyricism. That's
Right.
different.
Right. So
That is lyricism.
so now when you put all these elements
But it's still
together,
an element of rap and hip hop.
right?
And rap.
But it's all in the thing. But we have to when we consider I'll going back to the list, right? When we consider these lists, we got to think about that kind of stuff because some people are great at this thing, and you can't put them next to each other because if we start just taking lyrics and putting them down on paper, most of the people that's in the top 10 gets pushed way out, right? So now you got to think about the combination, who had the lyrics and the delivery, who did their own stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of people were written for the purpose of they had a look, they had a style, they had a voice. I'm sorry, Eve. Wonderful personality, extreme great talent, but she didn't sit down and write lyrics.
Let me jump in here. I thank you for everybody that's hung in there with us. We had some technical difficulties that took me a while to figure out, but once I figured them out, thank you to
super producer.
Thank you to our sister thank you to our sister Monica for helping me out, and Uncle H and the crew for helping me out, letting me know that we had that stuff going on, and being patient and staying with us until we got it figured out. So we'll move on from that. A couple of salutation I need to get in, and then I'm going to pull up this list, and then I'm going to address your last point about writing lyrics. Our sister said, "Good morning, y'all." And she also said happy Monday. So it's always a grand time when we, as a three, look into the camera and we say, good morning
Sue.
Right on time. Right after you've missed all of the nonsense with the dead air and scratchy sound and all that nonsense. So anyway, I personally I've never been moved by, oh, he didn't write it, he's not good. I've never been moved by that. I know that that's a staple of hip hop. I get to have that opinion because I'm part of the original generation of hip hop. Like, I know, got your notebook, whatever it takes. Grandmaster Caz had that legendary notebook that got leaked, and all of the things with that, and the great stories. The great story. Well, he tells us every chance he gets on his show on back. I still want to call it Backspin, but Rock the Bells Radio.
Shout out to Kaz and Cameo. What's up,
and
y'all?
Then Biggie and Nas and Snoop being notorious pot smokers who go in and write the whole album in their head and then spit. Like, it's all dope, but the person who didn't write it that came out and made a dope song, I always appreciated that too. I never paid that much.
Never dig into. I
never cared that much about it. The ones that do, you can tell. Sometimes the whole ghostwriter thing is just that. It's a ghostwriter, and you're shocked when you find out. But all of the times that I found out later that the person didn't write it didn't mean that I liked them or the song any less. That's not a part of the culture that moves me. Now, we all have our hip hop triggers, like MC Hammer to me is one of the dopest artists in the history of hip hop. But when he was around, he's co-signing that when he was around and when he was hot, he had a reputation in the hip hop culture of being whack. People called him whack.
Yeah.
I never thought he was whack, but people called him whack. So you like kind of you like kind of, it's subjective. That's kind of the whole point, which brings me to the list that I'm going to throw out everything that I just said and how fair I was, because it's a bullshit list, and I'm just not going to read all of them. I'm just going to read the ones that I personally feel are the most egregious. Just either egregious.
Damn.
Egregious meaning, why are you on this list? Or egregious meaning, you're there.
This is offensive.
This is where they put you.
This is truly
so
offensive.
Let's just have a little fun. Drop the glasses down because I can't see. And I'm going to start, and I'll read maybe 10 out of this 50. I ain't going to read all of them. But at number 50, Ice Spice. You mean to tell me it ain't 50 rappers in the history of hip hop that's better than Ice Spice, who just came out, far as I can understand, and I personally have never seen, never heard of.
Hold on, I didn't say this. Someone actually said the best, not just top 50, best out of New York City.
Yeah, I'm not doing.
just
I'm not.
can't-
I'm not
So-
doing that. Let me.
so-
No. Let me
Yeah,
read.
go ahead.
Let me
Feel
get some of this
offended.
list in
Feel
before we go
offended.
back and forth. Let me read some of these names, some of these places. At number 40, Kool Mo D. At
All the way down there.
number 38, MC Light.
Stop
30.
reading, Marcus.
Nope.
What up,
Nope.
KC? King of Chill.
35, Old Dirty Bastard.
Marcus, please put your phone down.
30.
You're trying to make me mad.
30, Cool G Rap.
I'm leaving. I'm done with the show.
26, Raekwon the Chef.
Not Raekwon at 26.
25, Cardi B.
Wait, hold on. You're
Cardi
telling me
B's ahead of
Raekwon-
G-Rap. That's
wait.
funny.
Cardi B.
Raekwon's behind Cardi
No,
B.
by one.
I don't care if it's by
G-Rap's
a
behind both
spot.
of them. That's
Oh.
crazy.
I'm still on
The
Raekwon.
bullshit is coming. There's more bullshit.
I didn't read the whole list, and now I'm
Yeah,
oh,
the bullshit. Number 20, 21. All right, I'm gonna do 20 for a reason. I'm gonna go from 23 to 19.
Okay.
Starting at 23 down to 19.
All right.
23, Run, Chuck D, Method Man, Slick Rick, Big Daddy Kane at 19.
Are you?
That's
Are
disgusting.
you?
15, Big
Who wrote this
Pun.
list?
15, Big Pun. Ghostface 13, Kim 12, Prodigy 11.
Prodigy?
Wait.
11.
Prodigy's
hold
ahead
on.
of
I'm even
G-Rap.
looking at where they put Ghostface in regard to Raekwon.
Prodigy's ahead of G-Rap.
Now I'm going to read the entire top 10.
Please go ahead.
At this
At number
point,
10.
everybody who should have been in it is in the bottom,
At-
so we already know.
At number 10.
Make the
Uh-huh.
side.
Number 10.
LL?
KRS-One, Busta Rhymes,
Okay.
DMX, Nicki Minaj, 50, James Todd Smith,
Okay. I don't know.
Rakim, Nas, Biggie, Jay-Z. So they got some
They
of that
got
top
some
10.
of that top
they got
10
some of
right.
that top 10 right. But
But
here-
there's some
here
questionable
you have
stuff.
a list that Ice Spice, and let me just name some of the names. Ice Spice.
Does she even have a whole studio album? Let me go back. Let me
Ice
look.
Spice, Pop Smoke,
Pop Smoke?
yeah, MF Doom, all
MF Doom.
and all
And I like MF Doom.
Cardi B
I
and
am
Nicki
someone who
Minaj
likes MF
are
Doom.
all on the top 50 list that does not have Tupac.
Oh, wait.
That part.
Hold on,
right
hold on.
there,
No.
That part.
It doesn't
right
have
there.
it doesn't have J Electronica.
Oh.
It doesn't have Black Thought. I didn't hear
And
Talib
yes,
Kweli or
Yes,
Mos Def.
Tariq, I am here.
Yasin
for you
Bey
if
is
you
on
ever
there.
Oh,
need
y'all see?
me.
Okay.
He's at 18
Yasin
ahead of
Bey's
Big.
on there. I did see that,
He's
yeah.
at 18 ahead of Big Daddy Kane. But I did not see Reggie Noble.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I cannot believe. First
I did
of all,
not see Anthony
and the
Chris.
fact that you dropped meth down so low.
21.
Where's Three Stacks?
Where's Scarface? Where's Ice Cube?
Scar.
I mean, I
Face.
understand
Where's Ice
that.
Cube?
I understand that everybody we love can't make that top 50,
Where's
but
Ice
there's a
Cube,
good
though?
15 to 20 that should have never been on it.
So
So look. I can't do a top 10 because it's too crazy, right? But if I could do a top 30, most of the names you said will not be. Where's the visualizer? AZ.
Oh,
You got Nas but no AZ. You got Prodigy but no AZ. What are you insane?
Amen. I don't even know what to say. So getting back to
all
my
I saw was number 50 and I was done.
getting back,
Grandmaster Cass.
I
getting-
really was.
getting back to my original point. It's subjective.
Joel
Like
Ortiz.
we
That's my dude.
we subjectively
That's
look
my
at this whack
dude.
ass
Where's
list.
Marshall
No,
Mathers?
every lyric.
It ain't got Eminem on the list, y'all. This list ain't got
Now
Eminem.
listen, I don't fuck with Eminem,
I do.
but goddamn it, he in the top 50.
He's in my top. He's in
He-
my
I
personal
can't
top
believe
5.
he's
Listen,
not on the list.
He ain't on the list.
He's
can't believe
better
that.
than Nicki Minaj. I'm sorry,
Nikki, Nikki,
Sorry.
and I like Nicki.
I got no smoke with you, Nikki. But come on, man. Cardi B at
But
25.
I can't even argue Nicki when Ice Spice is on there.
She shouldn't even be
Ice
on there.
Spice is on there and Marshall Mathers is not.
Wait a minute, how
No-
you got
no
all Spice?
Tupac.
Where's Lauryn Hill?
You don't have Lauryn Hill.
Where's Queen Latifah?
And I
You
and
don't
I,
have Queen
and I get
Latifah.
that Lauryn
Where-
Hill
where-
often
where's,
gets the short end
where's
of the
the
stick
Lady of
because she did one
Rage?
studio album, one major studio album.
Yeah,
No Lady
But-
of Rage, no Salt and Pepper, no
Right.
Antoinette.
Antoinette. Yeah.
Antoinette.
Daytime, nighttime, anytime, the right time. Who's the boss of Cross? Internet's rhyme. That was the joint.
Oh,
Yeah. You see how
yes,
quick I spit
okay.
that? You see how quick I spit that?
Yes.
She was in the beef with MC Light. I
I
never
got
forgot that.
secrets.
She
joint.
couldn't
I
stand
Yeah,
Light
listen,
for
yeah.
years.
listen. No, they never had a problem.
Yeah, they
I-
did.
Yes, they
Listen,
did.
listen to me.
Yeah,
Listen to
they
me.
did.
Listen to me.
No,
Just told you they
you can
did.
say listen to
Listen.
me, but you're not always right, John.
No, I
Stop.
was right because I was in the middle of it.
Oh,
I'm
my
part of why it
God.
went down.
Oh, yes, and you were there when
No,
Kennedy was
no,
killed.
listen.
Stop.
shout out
John.
again.
What
Shout
you
out
want me
again
do?
to Milk, Giz, and King of
It's been
Chill.
a hot day. I don't have that much
Listen,
patience.
Come on, man.
listen.
Come
King
on,
of
man.
Chill. That's my boy Freddie Bird. What's up? What's
You
his
just
name?
so you go
Something
just
Clown.
shout at everybody. Just
No,
get to your
they are-
point,
no.
man.
I was in the
listeners
mix.
of a clown. They
No,
had
Krusty the
beef.
Clown. Listen.
I could pull a record
They
right
there
now.
was listen. They as two women had no beef. That was constructed.
Okay, but it's a
by-
hip hop beef.
Okay.
So was
Hip-hop
Nas and
beef
Jay
is mostly
Z.
manufactured.
So was Cool Mo D and LL.
Yes.
So was LL and everybody. Come
Oh, wait,
on,
wait.
man. Come on.
LL and what was the major one?
Cannabis.
Cannabis.
Can I bust?
Oh, but that was a dope.
Let me get a
That was
couple.
dope.
Let me get a couple of. Let me get a couple
I
of
can't believe this
salutations.
list. I have a.
It's-
You're making
it's
me have a
outrageous.
bad
Let me
night.
get a couple of. Monica says Drake is the most streamed artist of 2022, 7 billion streams. He's not on the list. Now I wouldn't have
I
him.
don't know that
I
I would
wouldn't
put him
have
on
him
the
on
Top
the
list.
50?
Yeah.
No, he's not there.
I wouldn't
wouldn't
have him on
put
the
him
list.
on the list.
But hey, look, you know
But
who
if
else?
you put
You know
Ice
who?
Spice
You
on
know who
there
else? I got
now-
a name for you. Let me get another salutation, and let me get this salutation. Then I'm gonna give you another name that's not on the list. That they call that a tease. You like that, right? The pretty boy is checking in. Peace to you, brother. My brother Damon is saying salutations to my brothers and pleasant and lovely good evening to you, Steph B.
Pleasant and lovely.
Yeah,
You
you see,
know what?
he
I'm
about
is
sick
with the
of this
bullshit.
shit.
He is with
Damon
the
knows how to
bullshit.
I'm
make
about
me
sick of
giggle.
this
He
shit.
is with the bullshit. All right. At the end of the day, what we grew up on is hip hop as culture. It gave us something to talk about, compare, and damn near come to blows.
Fuck
Who's the
no.
best MC? Biggie, Jay-Z, Nas. Today, there is no hip hop, as far as I'm concerned, can barely understand what some of these cats are saying. Beats sound the same. There's no creativity. Period. By the way, good morning, Sue.
Wait.
Period. By the way,
Good
good morning, Sue.
Sue.
Yeah. So and she dropped her good morning back to him. Hey, look,
Yes,
Lil
I love
Wayne
it.
ain't on the
I
list.
love your people.
Yeah, that's my family, man. I love
They
that.
my
Look,
peoples too.
Lil
now.
Wayne ain't on the list, y'all.
And you okay? I'm not somebody that might have put him on the list.
It,
But once you put Ice Spice on the list,
it took me a while.
can't.
It took me a while, and it took a millennial to convince me on how dope Wayne is. But Wayne's dope.
I
you
only
know,
like
yeah.
some of his stuff.
You know,
But I
a
just
milli.
I'm sorry.
That's my joint.
when by the Nigerian hair.
Yeah, man.
Well, if you're gonna put Wayne on the list, you gotta put
Who you got?
Gilly the Kid, Drake, and Corey Guns.
Okay, Gilly the
Because
Kid,
they
but
are
no
they're
to
the
Corey
ones
Guns.
they're the ones who created
No
Wayne.
to Corey Guns. No.
Corey Guns dope as
But Gilly the
MC alive.
Kid.
Corey created Wayne. In Corey Guns, Peter Guns' kid,
Yes.
who came out after Wayne.
And did
And I
one-
don't know who Corey
really one
Guns
song.
is that well. I don't know his
No.
catalog, so I'm not
I'm
even arguing
gonna
that.
tell you,
But you just said
might
he
be
put
the one
on
of the
Wayne.
dope, yeah, because
I
when-
don't know, understand that.
as Wayne elevated his style, they brought in MCs to work with him. It was Drake, it was Gilly, Drake, and Corey Guns.
Okay.
They elevated Wayne each time and made him better. He started doing his own thing, but it was because
How
of
long
their
Corey
influence.
Guns been out? Ballpark it for me.
Mm,
More or less.
I first heard him when he was 14. I think it was like 2005.
No, but radio
Okay.
ready.
He was radio ready then. The problem was his lyrics were too advanced for his age.
Radio played, I should say.
No, he
that,
ain't
since
getting
I
that
gotta
way.
be very
Well, the reason why I
specific.
asked it is because my introduction to Wayne was the Carter 3, which to me
That
it-
was a Drake
it's-
influence album.
the Carter 3, which came out probably about 15 years ago. And it is the rare, for me, it is the rare hip hop album that you can listen to all the way
I
through.
do love Corey Guns.
No
on
skips.
You don't even know. I do love that verse.
Let me get a
a
salutation in.
rapper.
My brother
I
Dennis.
do love
My brother
a rapper.
Dennis is
I
checking
got a
it.
thing
Hold-
for rappers. Okay, I'll check it out.
Shout out to our brother Dennis. He's showing some love for Nice and Smooth.
Nice and
nice and smooth as
nice
funky.
and smooth
Always
as funky.
hip hop junkies.
Always hip hop junkies.
Reverend Run was on the list, Monica.
Dizzy Gillespie plays the sax. He actually
Re-
plays the trumpet, but that's okay.
Reverend
He
Run.
didn't care, though.
Monica is asking about Run DMC. Run is on the list
Only
at number
Run.
only Run. He's on the list at number 23. So yeah, we could do the hip hop thing, all day. It's still on the table. We're gonna shift as we come
It's
to
a
the top.
popularity contest.
As we come to the top of our at the end of our first hour, a big chunk of it was marred with some technical stuff. But we're on. You can hear us good.
One thing.
Jump in here.
I think there should be a totally separate list for groups because
Mhm.
it's not possible to do Tribe Called Quest and only say
Well,
that
Q-Tip's on this.
Q-Tip is in it.
He's on that list.
It's impossible to do De La Soul and break them down, Gangstar and break them down. I mean,
Tretch ain't on there.
Tretch is not on there.
Q-Tip is on at 24. No Anthony Chris. Tretch.
How is this possible?
No Reggie Noble, Redman.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
But-
I don't care. You could have put Spice.
No
it could
Fred
have been
the
a list
Godson.
It could have been a list of
But
top 100.
Cool Keith comes in at 36 though.
Yeah.
And Pop Smoke comes in at 27.
I'm sorry, that's a no to
And
me.
Fat Joe's at 31. Melly Mel.
I
is on
noticed
this
the
list
women are
at
not well
43.
represented.
Where
on
is the
here.
diggy doc, y'all?
No DOC.
No DOC.
Grand Pooba's at 44.
Wait, Dr. Dre's not even on there.
No, yeah.
But he not.
Styles P is at 46. Biz is on here at
Styles
47.
P is on there, but you
Biz Markie is on here. I think Biz, if he saw this list, rest him,
would be laughing.
would be like, "Come on, man, why am I
Why
here?
am I on it?
Why am I
Yeah.
here?" So
Yeah.
yeah.
Because But and this is the thing that I always, even when I'm working with people who are launching new brands and things like that, your brand doesn't have to be known for everything. You just have to do one thing well, right?
Yeah.
So if you think about Biz Markie, that brand is not known for trying to compete at the highest echelons of hip hop. He's more of an MC, to your point. And I love Absa Smurfly. And so when you have somebody like Biz Markie, like, it's okay to be good at what you do, as opposed to saying, I've got to look like every artist or every hip hop artist
That
on
part.
here. And I think that even oh gosh, I'll come up with his name later, but you have several out there. If you took Biz Markie, there's an entire category of artists that are exactly like him that you could go top 10
Yeah.
in that Biz Markie type. He's not expecting you to compare him to Reggie Noble.
No.
He's not expecting you to compare him to ODB.
Not at all.
And so even on the list, like, sometimes I look at the list and I'm like, real hip hop heads didn't write this list.
Absolutely not. I don't know who did, but they did. And shout out to
But
a
they
couple.
did.
I don't know who did, but they
I love
didn't.
you.
Yeah. Damon says no Scarface, Rod Digger, De La
I was
Soul,
gonna say Rod Digger.
EPMD, or Redman. Big L, by the way, pretty boy, he's on that
Eric
list.
Sermon's not on here.
Eric Sermon's not on there. Uncle H is asking about the Ghetto Boys. So
Uncle H and
yeah,
the Ghetto
yeah.
Boys. Stop
So
it.
I will shift us before I say my corny phrase. I will give special shout out to PM Dawn, Chill Rob G, and Double X Posse, who all represent Jersey City, New
No,
Jersey.
you didn't bring up
I
PM
did.
Dawn.
Yeah, set
X-Clan.
a bliss on memory bliss of
I'm
you.
gonna go home
Yeah.
tonight and throw on some
PM
good hip hop and just
PM
chill after
X-Clan.
the
Me
show.
and Damon used to get on the local bus going from actually the 3 from the hill down to Newport Mall when we were at my house heading down to the mall so that we can go sit on the fountain and eat cookies and people watch. And we would sync our Walkmans on PM Dawn. First track, of course, was Set Adrift on Memory Bliss.
Uh-huh.
So I'd have my Walkman, he'd have his Walkman. We sync them and we sit across from each other on the bus.
Shout out
And
to the
just do
80s
this.
and 90s having some
And
of the
just do this.
dopest shit ever.
Just do this right here.
Yes.
Yeah. So peace,
I
PB.
couldn't wait to put
Ain't
my
no-
Walkman on and walk through the mall. What mall am I talking
That's
about? In
I tell
Brooklyn?
you, anybody the-
Kings Plaza,
My-
and be a cute around the way girl
the
walking
people.
through Kings Plaza with my Walkman.
If you
on.
remember
and
me,
then my Discman,
if you remember me from
The
Virginia,
cookie place.
the cookie.
if you remember me from Virginia Union, my freshman
My
year,
God.
the way you would see me with a ball cap pulled down, my headphones on, and a backpack. I was that kid my freshman year. And I almost always, my freshman, that's the year that What the LP came out. Yo, I was rocking that joint. I'd say when Biggie said I let the tape rock to the tape pop.
drop. And let me tell you something.
What the LP?
I'm gonna tell you that I love that you're bringing it up because I went to college in '94, and that was obviously perfect timing.
Yeah.
So coming in, being on campus at '94, it was what was amazing to me. I was at a PWI with a large grouping of Black people, and you could find them after class. You could find every brown face on campus and what they called the rotunda. It really was like getting at the end of a cul-de-sac, and it's the round, you just coming around the end of a cul-de-sac, and they were lined up with their cars. Dudes were standing outside, and you're playing Junior Mafia, you're playing Biggie, you're playing Kim. There's a lot to be said for, and I heard a Gen Z say this the other day, that if they had to choose any era to be a teenager in, they would have chose the 90s. And being a teenager of the 90s, I mean, there's just nothing like it.
No.
Nothing like it.
Not at all. The 80s, the 90s, coming of age during the time that we came of age. I've often referred to myself as an old soul, which, is parts of me is. So I probably should have been born 10 or 15 years earlier. It's kind of the tongue-in-cheek way that I describe it. But when I really think about it, I was born on June 3rd, 1974, just like I was supposed to. So
absolutely.
I love and I am hip hop. So go ahead and make your final point on the topic, John.
What took me away from hip hop was a incredible series of events that all occurred in the fabulous year of 1988.
So you've been down with hip hop for 35 years, bro?
No, I've been down with hip hop.
No. You said you've been done with it?
No. It took me away from it.
Away?
Because I was
you've been away. That's what I meant. That's what I meant.
No.
You've been down on hip hop for 35 years.
Let me explain.
Yeah.
I'll break it down.
Yeah.
I was a hip hop head, right?
Yeah.
MC to the core. Actually, neighborhood legend. You don't believe me? You could ask DJ Clark Kent. He'll tell you. What up? Anyway, in '88, we dropped Keith Sweat, New Edition, Bobby Brown,
all in '88. I'll be sure.
Yep.
Yeah, I was
Guy.
Yep.
And Bentley's was the place to be.
New York City.
There was no hip hop played in Bentley's, and if you wasn't in Bentley's, you was a nobody. I'm sorry. And at that, because in 85, here's what 85, 86, 87, it was the underground, which became Union Square, which became the underground, and the Latin quarters. 85, 86, 87. After that, in 88, Bentley's was it. Those clubs was like, if you went there, you was and you had to jump all the way to like 93 for it to be the Tunnel on Sunday nights and Tuesday nights when they played hip hop at the Tunnel. So by that time,
that was a whole New Jack Swing era.
Right. I mean, every genre, every generation. Let me take this so I can close this out stuff. Every generation of hip hop had something that shifted it. And 1988 was a shift. I've been on record as saying that 1988, for me, is the single greatest year in history for hip hop. Hip hop peaked for me in 1988. There's receipts on that. All you got to do is look at a lot of the folks who were big that year, who had their seminal records that came out that year that are still relevant now. So
forgot the rooftop. Sorry.
So Mama Mika's checking in. Peace to you, Mama Mika. She's agreeing with me, and she also is agreeing with me when she says away. I'm not sure that we follow where you were going when you said it took you away from hip hop. Perhaps you meant that the shift wasn't a shift in the game that you was very you were happy with. So
it was no longer my
so for me that shift came around 2000. So I respect that. Ain't no how step Marcus J. live from NewDen Legacy and Radio. Monica says, I still lived in Germany when I was in my late teens and early 20s. Hip hop was an American way of expression that was loved by German music lovers. So that's a interesting and outstanding anecdote. Thank you, Monica, and so much. Thank you so much for being with us through so much of the show and participating with us tonight. Ain't no how stepping with Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy and Radio. For the first time of tonight, I get to say my corny line, and I say that with glee. Let us move on. We're going to move on to Green Talk. So, John, you're up. We're going to talk about some money as we typically do. And I love Green Talk. I was talking to my brother Damon today about Green Talk, and we were wondering what we are going to get into. Last week, we had 401k that we had the table. I don't know if we're going there tonight, but I think we got a note about making your money credit and how to have it make money for you. So I want to make sure that I get that right. So you have the con, my brother. What you got in Green Talk?
It's time, folks. I mean, we have to stop. We have to understand what's going on with blockchain, right? And what's happening in the world. And our nation's fiat money system is going to people projected that our economy would fall, and matter of fact, most economists last year had us in a full-on depression at this time, and our economy just keeps growing. But we have to pay attention. The idea of cash money is going to go away real soon, and you're going to have to know how to operate and use your credit. And when you're going to have digital currency as opposed to cash currency holding back, and you want to hold your digital currency, because that's what it is right now. Very few people go places and pay their bills with cash. They just go online and move some numbers from one place to another place. That's how they pay their bills. So what you want to be able to do is hold on to your digital currency as long as possible, because there's going to be a natural deflating of the dollar, whether it looks like a greenback or it looks like a dot on a number on a screen with a dot. Hold on to that as long as you can, so that you can counter the deflation with a interest rate that's being paid by the institution that's holding the money. You want to use your credit, because credit cards, right, will pay you minimally a penny on the dollar every time you use it, right? So you get a penny on the dollar. I got credit cards, I get 6 and 7 cents on the dollar. Most of my credit, I got quite a few credit cards. I think most of them are at least 2 cents. Most are 2 cents. One's a nickel, one's introductory, something like 6 cents. But 2, 5, and 1 cents is what most of them are on the dollar. People throw these pennies away. What you want to do is you want to pay your credit card off, so you pay no interest on your credit. You get the money received that they pay you for using your credit, and you keep your money in your account so it gains interest, and you do not suffer from the deflation of the dollar. This is how you have your credit make money for you. If you go out and you spend, and again, you have to know what you can afford, not how much money you have, what you can afford. If you don't have all of your bills covered, right? All of your bills covered, right? And then 10 times the amount of the item that you want to buy. Let's say you want to buy $100 item, right? If you don't have all of your bills paid and $1,000 in reserve, you can't afford $100 item. You can't. That's what affording is. You may have the money for it, but you can't afford it. Right? So you got to understand this. And this is how, and credit is not meant to buy things you can't afford, people. Credit is meant to do what I just said do, which is defer the payment. Pay the card off every month. Do not pay interest on the credit card, because it's going to murder you. Right? Take the the penny on the dollar or the 2 cents on the dollar, the nickel on the dollar if you're lucky, you got a nice card, and bank that money. Use that for things or just make it savings. Or take it out after it accumulates after a certain amount of time and put it into a secured card, which would do the same thing with your money, which is better than a secured credit cards are often better bets than bank accounts. Because again, you got secured cards that'll give you a penny or 2 cents on the dollar every time you spend your own money, right? As opposed to the bank who's giving you 0.01%, which is like less than a penny. So think about that. Any questions, please type them in the comments and I will address them. If not, that's Green Talk this week.
Ain't no half stepping. Marcus J live from NewDen, Legacy Internet Radio, keeping our shift and keeping us going. We're gonna jump right into Stephasode. So let's see. What are we talking about? Stephasodes here. It's all fun and games, and someone gets jail time.
Until someone gets jail time.
Girl, where we going?
It's all fun and games.
Where we going? Where we going, John? John, where
So-
we going, bro? Where we going, John?
I'm afraid of this
This
subject.
is where Steph goes like
Because
this.
we
Be
go-
very afraid.
Hold on,
Be
because
very afraid.
we have spoken about these things separately.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
We know where she's going.
Look, look,
Well,
look.
we think we know. We
Yeah.
might not know.
Listen,
Yeah. Oh, okay. We do.
I'm
know.
smart. I'm smart enough to have some fear. Here.
Okay. So, Steph,
you know
jump in.
what?
Let's talk.
You're not brothers who would disagree with it. So it's all fun and games until somebody gets jail time, right? So last week we didn't talk about it, and I understand why it's not really high on our list of conversations, but it ties into something that matters to me. So last week Tory Lanez was sentenced to 10 years in prison for the shooting of Megan Pete or Megan the Stallion. And when I think about that shooting, it made me think about how deep we will go to protect what we believe. So I started rolling it back and I'm like, how deep did we go to protect what we believe when it came to R. Kelly? And how deep did you go to protect what you believe when it came to Tory Lanez? This isn't about this is the interesting thing. I went back and I started pulling comments that people had made about R. Kelly and their protection of Robert. And it mimicked many of the protections that were given for Tory Lanez. And what was ultimately protected was the belief that Black women are not worthy of protection, number one. And two, the belief that Black women are the predicators of their own crimes. I literally read a tweet that said, 10 years, he didn't kill her. So had he killed her, you still only believe that a death of a Black woman would warrant 10 years in prison. He didn't kill her. He only shot her. No big deal that he shot a Black woman. And let's dwindle it down even further. He only shot her in the foot only. I've never been shot. I know that I would go well out of my way to avoid being shot. I know that people that I know who have been shot, whether minor or major, will tell you it was a major experience for them. And it's not just physical. It is emotional. It's traumatic in a way. It's interesting to me because the same people who talk about my parents yelled at me and I'm traumatized can't understand that a woman being shot in the foot in the presence of company she trusted is traumatizing. And it's all fun and games when Megan Pete or many Black girls that have been victimized are the butt of the joke. But the minute that the victimizer is given perhaps what they deserve, maybe not enough, then now it's serious. Now it's serious. They just want to imprison this black man. He knew he was black when he shot her. Didn't matter to him then. What is being a black? So are we saying that black men should be immediately exempt from any crime that occurs that is going to harm a black woman? Are you black men now willing to say that if your daughter is abused by a black man, it's okay? She shouldn't tell on him, because why would you want to see a black man go to jail? Like, it is absolutely shocking to me how deep we have gone in the black community. And I'm going to say this, even going back to the elders. The elders will allow someone to be at an event, know that this person is detrimental or harmful or has harmed children, and tell the children, stay away from Uncle Joe. Why is Uncle Joe at the party? Why is Uncle Joe at the cookout when you know what he did? This is something that we've been doing. And, John might want to argue with me on this when I say in the black community. When I say this, it is because my first and primary concern is and always will be black women and black girls, first and foremost. Of every single ethnic minority, black women and black girls are killed more than anyone else. They are abused by their direct partner more than anyone else, and they are disbelieved more than anyone else. R. Kelly had how many women come out and tell the exact same story? If you were a school teacher and you said, what did John do? And 10 kids told you what John did, and it was the exact same story, you would believe it. Over 70 women and 3 boys came forward and told you exactly what happened with Robert Kelly, and it looked the same and sounded the same, but you would not believe them. We are so committed to the culture of celebrity that most of us don't realize that you don't fit into it. So it is likely that you will be the result of abuse, or the victimized, not the victimizer. You're most of the community that was fighting against Meg and saying all these things and finding ways to justify a woman being shot in the foot. Let's think about this. There is a comfort zone that we have created in which at some point black women are the reasonable target of abuse. Because celebrity, because money, because patriarchy, because masculinity. And I'm saying that I've seen just as many women defending Tory Lanez as I've seen men. Women who were twerking away to Meg. Now, I don't know, because bitches be lying. What happens when you're bitches? It's all fun and games, right? It's all fun and games. We had lots of laughs and conversation. This girl was traumatized. She got on the stand and said, I wish I had died rather than living through all of this. And there was dismissal of her trauma from a community that, for the most part, Tory Lanez would care less about. I'm going to tell you something. He could have donated $10 million to the local black schools. But it goes right back to that. We will defend the drug dealer because he donated money and he knows he can buy you. We are easily bought for the price of clout. Y'all are clout chasers. You're clout chasers until your daughter in Wickham Court is shot because of the same mentality that got Megan Pete shot. Don't get it twisted. What happened to those black girls at the hands of R. Kelly, what happened to Megan Pete at the hands of Tory Lanez or Daystar Peterson, those things are happening in black communities at the hands of the people that you idolize and worship because you just don't like black womanhood. You don't like it enough to believe it. You had white women more likely to believe Megan Thee Stallion in a damn poll than other black women. And so what I pose to the table today is 2 questions. 1, at what point do we begin to hold one another accountable? And 2, At what point do Black women stop being the reason that Black women are hurt? When do we stop saying, well, it's your own fault? While also Black women being the majority of the people that go and march for the rights of men who often have records against people who look like them. That's a whole other conversation for you, sis. For Black women who consistently vote on behalf of everyone else in spite of their own needs. For Black women who are the backbone of the communities, you easily will say they got what they deserve. And now we're serious because Daystar got jail time, which, by the way, it wasn't enough. So when do we start believing, as a part of our culture, Black girls and Black women? When does that happen?
Ain't no how Steph Marcus say live from NewDen Legacy in that radio. Let me get some of these comments in. I put them on the screen, but for those who may not be watching the screen, I want to read a couple of them because they've been some good stuff. Peace to my brother. Peace to you, Pass. Our brother John Gardner is checking us out. He says, "Oh, first of all, I appreciate you, brother. Let me make sure I stop and give you the jewel that you deserve. So thank you for supporting us." Yo, John is a dope dude, man. I rocks with him. That's my man right there. The young people of today have absolutely no respect, fear, or understanding of the damages guns cause. I have daughters. I'm constantly making them aware of the men they choose to hang out with and date. I understand that. I also have a daughter. Let's see. Mama Mika is checking us out. I think I gave you salutations earlier, but if I didn't, I'll give you some more because you are Legacy and Radio alumni and you've been hanging out with us. So I got a big old hug for you next time I see you. She says, men have to check Black men. She continues, I know it's not popular belief, but Black men have to take their place in the world, protect your women. Women, allow yourself to be protected. And
point.
she's listening to you, Steph, and she's saying yes with the S's. So I guess you're supposed to say yes.
Yes. Thank you,
Yeah,
sis.
yeah.
But she's right.
And then she
She
says,
is right in that.
and she said, she's so right. So you say she's right. She
She's
says
right
so
on her.
right. Yeah.
Well, I mean, and she makes a good point about, because I've said that before. You know, last week when I was talking about something, and both of you said, I don't know those men. Those men may not be in your circle, but they are in our environment. I don't know. I don't have girlfriends that would abandon their children.
Yeah.
But I do know that there are girls that will get their nails done before they will show up at student teacher night.
Yeah.
And if she happens to be a student parent teacher night, if she happens to be in my space, I will question her about that.
Yeah.
There's levels of accountability that we're afraid to bring to one another because we believe in our victimization.
Yeah.
I don't want to hurt him. He's already been hurt by society. No, fix yourself.
Yeah. Uncle H says it'll happen when we stress virtue, righteousness, manhood, racial dignity. We must reach and teach. That's a word from the elder. And Mama Mika says, you better, Steph. Did I say it right?
Mama
I think I said it right.
You did.
I
I like the little head.
Yeah, but I just didn't go for reading the
That was
screen,
good.
but I
That
could
was
read
good.
it the way you better, Steph. So here's let me just specifically speak to the Megan Thee Stallion and Tory Lanez situation first, and then a kind of a overall comment. But when I first saw that, I said that that's an attempted murder charge, and I would have had no problem if they'd have charged him and convicted him of attempted murder. You pull a gun out and you shoot it in the area of someone, and someone is hit. I don't care if it's their foot. You pulled your gun out. You was playing. You thought it was funny.
And you pulled the trigger intentionally.
You thought it
bitch.
you thought it was funny. You thought it was funny. And you shot at her. You shot at her. And she got hit. You lucky you got 10 years. You lucky. You lucky I wasn't on that jury. 10 years for shooting somebody? You know what I'm saying? Oh, well, you know, it only hit her foot. Okay, what if she gets an infection in her foot? It causes a problem and dies. Because Bob Marley had an injury to his toe
That's right.
that metastasized into the brain cancer that killed him. So, you know, if that's how y'all gonna do it, then that's how y'all gonna do it. But that's not how I'm gonna do it. You know, and we can talk about protecting our women, and obviously that's a thing. We should be protecting our women. Men, we should see the situation and not be asking, well, what she do? You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing when we have these issues of police brutality where they put their knee on our neck. And we ask, or not us, but our white brothers and sisters who are victims of white supremacy, where it indoctrinates their thought and causes them to ask a dumbass question like, what did the man with the knee on his neck do that deserved him being choked out? I got you, Alexa. Shout out to my sister Alexis in Jersey City. She's checking us out. She says the alleged. I know the history and I know where you're going with that. He died of cancer. I know where you're going. He died of cancer that started from the infection in his toe. That's the official word. That's what she said allegedly, but I'm not going down that rabbit hole with neither one of y'all. I would just say that I know what you're talking about. You know, so but okay, fair enough. But the thing is, you know, we can look at this and we don't see him as the overwhelming villain. It doesn't matter what she said to him. It doesn't matter what went on in that car. Because at the end of the day, she was getting out of the car because of what was going on in the car. She was leaving. That part's not in the dispute. So you want to shoot at her because you upset about how the conversation went and she left. Whatever your motive was, I don't even really care about that. I don't care about that. You intentionally pulled out your gun, you aimed it in her direction, and you pulled the trigger and she got hit. Bruh, you know, for the bruhs who are, you know, saying that they got a problem with it, and for the sisters, they're saying that they got a problem. Y'all sound like Trump supporters. Y'all sound like Trump supporters who are watching it happen in front of you and you acting like it didn't happen.
I don't believe
in front of
my
you.
lion eyes.
Come on. What's happening right now?
Crazy.
You all right over there, man? Do you got to pee? You must got to pee. You got to pee, don't you? It's right there.
He got browner. So much blood came to his face.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna let you double dutch in, man. But you know, matter of fact, go ahead, man. Just go ahead. Just go ahead, man. Go ahead, man.
Can't say nothing.
Go ahead, man.
What technically on the charge? What was he convicted of?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I have no idea. It's not hard to look up. So Steps
we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Now,
I don't come through. I don't care about that part. He shot at her.
So there's certain.
That was it for me.
Wait a minute. There's so many things that we leave out. See, here's my problem.
Hold on. 3 felony accounts: assault with a semi-automatic handgun, unregistered firearm in a vehicle, and discharging a firearm with gross negligence, which goes to your point about you pulled out your gun. Period. You pointed it at an individual. Any of us who are firearm owners, you know that's one of the first rules.
See, that's not okay.
Don't pull it out unless you're gonna pull the trigger. And shoot to kill. And shoot to kill. That's how we're taught.
The assault was a result of the discharge. So, but again,
yes,
there were several. There were not several. There were 2 eyewitnesses who gave a very similar description of what transpired. Right? On the account, I'm not going to get into it, but what I will say is when he was taken into custody that night, there was no gunpowder residue on his hands. This is fact. This is in the court case.
That's what we're doing?
No, listen.
That's what we're
doing?
Listen,
wait a minute. I'm going to tell you. There was no gun residue on this thing. They said he was struck. The witnesses both said he was wrestling with the other girl for the gun. And she had residue on her hands.
So where's her charge?
She
copped out. They let her go because she turned witness against him.
I feel like I'm being Rachel Maddow right now. And so this came from a reputable source, and I didn't think that was incorrect. So I thought that was incorrect, so I wanted to address it. But in several medium sources, including Uproxx, they mention that he was found with gunpowder residue ahead of his Megan Thee Stallion trial. Yes, he was. There was gunpowder residue.
That's not what it had in the case.
Doesn't matter. I'm telling you, this came from
his lawyer. The lawyers argued it, and they had the eyewitness account.
Well, let me do this. I don't want to adjudicate.
Okay, so look,
hold on.
I'm gonna get away from it.
Hold
right.
on.
I mean, but once you introduce it, it's the same
Hold on,
thing.
folks.
No,
I
I'm
don't.
gonna get away
I
from
do
it.
not want to adjudicate the case because that's not what Stephasos is about tonight.
So let me
So
get my thing.
okay,
I'm getting away from it.
all right, get away
Right?
from it.
Here's the problem I have with all of this, with them, not them specifically, but with everybody. Because check this out. I believe Michael Jackson didn't hurt no kids, right? But if you're gonna go through what he went through in the trial and all the money that was spent to bring him down, you'd have people that argue the other way. Although he was found innocent, he's still guilty just for being brought up on the charges. All of this is, I know people who got 8 years for manslaughter too.
Yep.
So this guy got 10 years for discharging a weapon from assault and for the other thing for 3 charges.
Yep.
That and nobody died. So when the people say she only got shot in the foot, that's wrong because she got hurt. Right? She got hurt. She was a victim of a crime. She should get her justice. But understanding that people kill people and only get 8 years.
So those cases should be
No,
adjudicated properly, and the charges should
all
be
cases.
and the charges should be upgraded or whatever the
Exactly.
sentences should be.
Exactly.
But those cases
But
have
that
nothing to
doesn't
do with
have
this
anything
one.
to do
But
with
here's
it.
this what I'm trying to say. One, crime is crime, right? We got to stop making it into a television show, right? We should have never knew nothing about this. It should have been real simple. They
John,
should have went.
how
Wait,
do you expect that?
how would I expect it? By not continuing to allow ourselves to
Alright,
be
so-
exploited. Wait, let me finish, man.
Okay, you know
By
what it
not
feels like now,
continuing to allow ourselves to be
huh? Go ahead, man.
Go.
This is what you do to us, man. Go
John,
ahead.
go ahead.
by not continuing to allow ourselves to be exploited and displayed and moved around for the entertainment of others.
Okay.
Right? The man did something wrong. He needs to be sentenced, go to jail 10 years, 20 years, whatever it is. Good. That's his business. We don't got to talk about it. Yes,
We
black
have
girls.
an entire podcast and internet radio show. We're going to talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay, but here's one.
I'm going
Again,
to talk about it because it impacts a black woman and it also impacts black womanhood outside of fame. The 99% of the black women you know are not famous, but we go through things like this. So to say that is almost disingenuous. Every time I bring up one of these topics, no, you pick up your mic if you want to. Every time I bring up one of these topics, we go here where it's like a dismissal. And it bothers me significantly because typically that dismissal would be at the behest and the detriment of a woman that looks like me. And so no, every time I come on here, what you gonna hear from Steph B, the Brooklyn Betty with the business breakdown, the B with the bow, whatever you want to call me, is going to be something that you may find is not black, is too centered on blackness, or it's not about black women, or it's not about being famous, or so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, Megan Pete got treated no different than Steph B would be treated. Because that is what happens to black women. And just like OJ was in the news, just like the old white dude who was in a TV show and he shot his wife, Robert Blake, all of those things, yes. However, here's the difference. The language and the things that are coming out on social media, it's not a distraction, John. This is what black women experience on a regular basis. The dismissal of our pain, the dismissal of the attacks against us, how we're treated, not just in corporate America, but in schools beginning at the age of 5. So no, either address it or don't, because it is a dismissal that is harmful to black women when you go, it's just a distraction. It's not. It's what we live with. Our community literally looked at someone that they call themselves being a fan of and immediately dismissed her pain and all the things that were happening. And ultimately, if it happened to her, I am not big enough to believe it cannot happen to me. And I don't want to dismiss it.
if the man did something wrong and he got convicted of a crime, he needs to do every day of the jail time that he's convicted of. I don't have a problem with that. And yes, black women are disproportionately victimized and not heard, understood, overstood. But my whole point is, again, the entire criminal justice system is grossly flawed. We pick and choose when we want to allow something to be heard or not heard. There's no standard. So if you're a celebrity, I can alter evidence. I can bring in stuff that normally wouldn't be heard. I will dismiss your $1 million a day attorney and allow things to happen in court that shouldn't happen in court just because you're a celebrity and it's good for the books. All I'm saying is every single person that goes in front of a judge and has a jury needs to have the exact same treatment. I don't care if they are a celebrity. I don't care how much money they got. I don't care who knows them. I don't care how many followers they got, right? That black woman was shot, and whoever shot her needs to pay for the crime that was committed. I do not care about their name or their following or their celebrity, but I will say that in following the trial for the time that I followed it, there were extraordinary irregularities allowed, and I believe that it was allowed because they were both celebrities, not because of him or her, but because of both of their celebrity, because they were leaving a Jenner house, right? Going down the hillside in Beverly Hills, wherever they were, right? And this, how many black women on that day got shot someplace else in America, and we don't have time to talk about it, right? How many black? We don't listen. We don't have time to talk about it. We're going to talk about this and listen. What I'm not disagreeing with what you said about how people are not listening to this woman, or they're trying to justify something that somebody did, or he shouldn't go to jail. He's a black man. No, anybody commits a crime goes to jail, right? I don't care if you black, blue, purple, or whatever. Take your ass to jail. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200, right? But all I'm saying is this: all of these celebrity trials are nothing but shows, and the law gets bent and twisted in order to where nobody really wins. I don't feel that Meg won in this situation. I think everything that happened to her got twisted, and she said she would have rather died than to go through this, right? So she didn't win. She didn't really get justice with him going to jail for 10 years for shooting her. I think
she said she had justice. That's what I would.
I
take her word.
She
said it.
I think that the system was flawed. I think that it made it into a circus. And I think whatever justice she got, again, injustice from people in those misinformed or unrelated comments about, oh, she only got shot in the foot. And the stuff you talking about, that shouldn't happen. But at the same time, though, we can't have it one way when we want it our way.
What?
It gotta be equal across the board. That's not supposed to happen to her the same way.
Finish your point.
The same way things are not supposed to happen to anybody. When you go in front of the court, the blindfold on justice is there for a reason, and we gotta stop letting all of this hyper celebrity bullshit become the norm.
I get where you're going. I get where you're going with that. But here's the point that I think is missed. The fact that when she was speaking, she led with the case of R. Kelly, where you had 70 people say he did it, and we had to get to a point where we had to convince people. You know, just because 70 people said it doesn't necessarily mean he did it. But
what did they say he did? What law did he break? What did the 70 people? What did the 70 people say he did?
I don't want to play the devil's advocate. So and we don't have the time. Problem. Yeah, I don't want to do that.
Why even in the sense of what I always leave episodes with a hypothesis and a question, and typically you don't address it. You do whataboutism. So today your whataboutism was the legal system and so on and so forth. And what I'm saying is exactly opposite. Megan Thee Stallion, Megan Pete got the exact treatment that black women get My conversation is about when are we in the Black community going to be dealing with the fact that we struggle to believe and listen to and address Black women, and when does that change come into play, and how you just happen to see the fact that being a Black woman with money, when you go, and here's the irony, when you go in the courtroom as a Black woman, Meg got the same treatment that anybody would get. She got the same treatment in social media that any Black woman would get. So the I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit about who the justice system is hurting and how it's this and how it's that. What I'm talking about right now, today, in the moment, is the fact that we have within our culture, and you could say white people do it or whatever. I'm not going to be impacted the way a white woman is impacted. But I do know I have made very clear statements of things that have happened to me and been treated very similarly to Megan. I do know that non-famous girls came forward and specifically gave pages and pages to Dream Hampton, to other women, enough to fill 4 and 5 segments of a documentary. And you want to talk to me about the justice system and how it does everybody. We already know that. We know there are 2 tiers, but the fact of the matter is I use those 2 examples not because they're celebrities, but because a Black woman got treated like a Black woman. And it didn't matter that she had a lot of money. It didn't matter that she was famous. She got treated by like a Black woman by Black society. Fuck hard K. Fuck the system. Black people are consistently dismissing things that occur and happen to Black women. And we're so afraid to talk about it that we're now in a room, the 3 of us, and my brother, you're veering off into what the justice system does. And I'm specifically saying, when in our community are we going to believe Black women? Why are Black women consistently dismissed? And we can't even talk about that. And you know why we can't talk about it? Because we won't fucking fix it. We will not fix it. We will be more comfortable with just letting Black women being treated a certain way. We'll be more comfortable with going, well, you know, it happens to everybody. It doesn't. It doesn't happen to everybody. And I'm sorry to get this passionate about it, but I'm not. I'm not, because it is too easy. I bring up Steppin every damn week, and it is likely that I'm going to talk about things that people don't speak about in relationship to Black women. I've got a Black daughter out there. She walks to work every day. Some little half-ass wannabe standing on the corner will catcall her and everything else. The chances of her, if she rejects him, being hurt are very high. You know where they're highest? In the Black community. Black women are killed, maimed, injured, shot, disrespected more than any other race of women. I don't give a shit about the justice system. I care about the fact that there's injustices in our community where you could see a Black woman get shot and be good with it, and they want to talk to me about the justice system in general. No, brothers, I want to know about you. Sisters, I want to know why you can deny the pain of a Black woman so easily. Don't tell me shit about the law and the justice system and everything else. We already know what they do and don't do. Talk to me about why you who look like me can't see my pain and understand it and feel it and directly address it. That's what I want to talk about. And if we can't do that, you in Steppin right now, because I'm good on it.
I said from the beginning, whenever anybody commits a crime, they need to be held accountable for it, right? And yes, everything to what you just said is absolutely true, right? Again, I say, I don't care who the committer of the crime, what they look like, what their skin color is, or any of that. They need to be punished for the crime they committed. When we now address what you're talking about within the community, the psychological warfare, the way people within the community treat each other, view each other, and respond to each other's pain, that is something I believe needs to be removed from when we're talking about what's going on in the criminal justice system, because that is equally offensive to the people who are supposed to serve and protect. Right? In our community,
John,
we
you
gotta
killing
address.
me.
Listen, in our community, we gotta address what we gotta address. But that's psychological warfare. That's
I'm
what's
living
going on.
here.
That's crazy.
I'm living here. The chances of me coming across a black man
Yes.
or within my community having a dust up and the chances of me going to court are very different.
So listen, I'm not disagreeing with that.
So
What
I
I'm
sit
saying
there.
is, no, here's what I'm saying is, we are mixing fabrics here. We're
You
blending
are.
things. No, because again, what happened to her could have happened to her. The same thing that happened in the community of people not believing her, or people saying, "Oh, she only got shot in the foot." It didn't have to be attached to her injury, because that type of behavior is common in the black community. If she said he tried to shoot me, let's say she didn't get shot, he pulled the gun on me and tried to shoot me and told me to dance, same people wouldn't believe her, would still go against her.
That's the conversation.
But what
Am
I'm
I
saying,
right,
but
Ma?
again, we going back to again the court, and he got sentenced to
you
this.
you
and
went
he
back
got
to
sentenced
that
No,
today.
you
You
went to
did.
that.
What I'm saying is my initial thing was, I said, whatever he got convicted for, whatever he goes to jail, good. He needed to go to jail for whatever crime he committed. And that's a full stop on that. What I'm saying is, we start in this, especially in the celebrity arena, we start hyping this up, making it into something that it is. We need to address the fact that black women will not believe black. Nobody will believe black.
I
Let me-
just
let me-
said
let
that.
me-
You
let me-
didn't
So
address that.
listen, rape goes unreported.
Let me
Right?
stop us. Let me stop us.
John, you killing me on
Let me
this
stop
one,
us.
bruh.
I think the problem that we're having, where the disconnect is we're gonna spend all of this time talking about everything except for the heart of the matter. The heart of the matter, and what we led with, is our sisters are being harmed, and we as brothers and we as society don't recognize and do something about it. I led with what I saw in this situation. You pull a gun out and you shoot at somebody. Why are we still talking about legal systems and charges and all that stuff? He shot her. It should be the beginning and the end. He shot her.
As a part of community conversation, beginning and end, she was harmed.
That's it.
Why do we
Where's
struggle?
why are we having a discussion about anything other than punishing him? And so
Because
Or not just punishing, what's
supporting
happening in our
the
community.
supporting her.
The reason we have the discussion is because he said I didn't shoot her.
He was convicted.
That's not why
Right?
I'm having a
So-
discussion.
not
so
only was
wait,
it not
wait.
not only was he convicted, but why didn't we just believe him when she said it?
Again,
And she got the medical report to prove it.
You know why we didn't just believe her when
And
she
the
said it?
pictures.
Yeah, what are you talking
Because
about?
when we're dealing with stuff about that, if somebody says I didn't do it, we can't just believe them. We got to figure it out, right?
I hear you.
We got to
and
go through the steps, right?
I hear the devil's advocate.
We got to go through the steps. The minute we start believing people without
come
going
on,
through
man.
the steps,
Come on,
we're going to have
come
a
on,
bigger
come on,
problem.
man. Come on.
See, and
Here-
this goes right back to my
Here's
initial
Listen,
so let the
concern.
brothers do this
Listen,
because
he
you
was
said
con-
your piece,
You're right.
and I think I hear you.
You're right.
So let me try to work this out with
Here
them.
was
Let me say this, right? Why is it that when we as brothers, as men, saw that, why was the natural inclination to ask what she did? Because we did that. I'm a man, I'm a brother, I've been in these ciphers, I know what we're saying. Why was the first thing that in the cases of the sisters who were accusing R. Kelly, why did we have to go through having a documentary to discuss it for him to get into trouble? Because this had been going on for years. He married Aaliyah when she was 15. It's on paper. I seen the report. She was born the same year my sister was. So this wedding is probably around in the mid 90s. So that's how long we've been dealing with this with him. And it's not just them. I come on here every single week and I profile missing and or exploited Black children and women. So it's passionate for me as well. And I find it difficult for me when I see a situation where you got a sister who is telling you, this is my experience. This is how I feel. This is what happens to me. This is what is the situation for her and for her and for me. And we're having a conversation about everything other than that. Why aren't we dealing specifically with that and the emotion that comes with it? That's where I struggle. And I haven't always gotten it right. I'm not saying that I have, but I want to. I want to. And the specific situations that we're speaking of, we see the merit of what our sister is saying. We had to have a whole documentary before R. Kelly got in trouble. like,
no, he got in trouble before the documentary. They just wasn't able to prove their case.
He's in prison now because of the evidence and all of the stuff that came after that. So it's tough for me. It's tough for me because I see the passion, I feel the passion, I enjoy the conversation, but at the same time, I'm wondering, just as men, because we've all seen the conversation of men who want to support the shooter. If we're only specifically dealing with this case, specifically, and the sisters who's doing that, y'all crazy. I'm not even talking about y'all. I'm talking about brothers because I'm a brother and I want to impact brothers by them seeing and feeling the passion that I bring to the conversation when we have our sister telling us her experience. And I'm not just talking about you, Steph. I'm talking about in general, because the unfortunate reality is we all got a sister who done been touched in a way that she didn't want to, whether she told us or not. She hold on to that because she don't think you gonna give a fuck.
Here's what I'm gonna say to this.
She hearing the other shit you saying, and she like, fuck, I'm gonna tell you for.
This is my best thing for this. I found out something when I moved here, right? When I moved to Richmond, right? Here's what I found out. I found out that the person next door can go down to the precinct and say that I did something, and without any proof, the police will come and arrest me and lock me up, right? And then I have to prove my innocence against their allegation, right? I don't like that. I don't want to be a part of that. No one should be able to say this person did something to me, right, without evidence of it, and have that person jailed to prove their innocence. You're innocent till proven guilty, not guilty till you can prove your innocence.
We're not talking about that.
Okay,
that's not the conversation.
No,
we didn't need that. We
already
did that.
I'm gonna tell you why we needed it. I'm gonna tell you why we needed it.
I'm gonna tell you I have a conversation
lady,
with my child, and if my child tells me that something happened to her, I don't care about nothing other than defending her, and that's how we should be. That's gonna be really the last thing I say on this. There's nothing else for me to say. Sometimes I don't care about none of that other stuff. He hit you, where he at? Let's go get him. That should be the conversation. Period. You get the last word.
In your family, I understand that, but as a greater society, we can't move like that.
So
as a greater society, we can't go. We can't have somebody run into the room and say so and so did something to me, and then we run out and go kill a person and found out it wasn't true. But that I didn't say that. I'm addressing what he said. As a larger society, we cannot have someone run into a room and say that X person did something to me, and then everybody from the room run outside, go find that person and kill him. We can't do that as a greater society.
Yeah,
right?
Perhaps, but we can believe her. That we can do, and we don't. We don't. If we go and get him, we don't have to harm him, but we could put him in a situation where he can be punished. We don't even do that.
No, listen, that needs to be done. But the accusation.
So why are we not leading with that in the conversation?
Here's why we're not leading, because we're leaving out a critical point here, is what I'm saying. You can make an accusation, right? But it has to be proven. We can't just go on accusations.
How many? There are studies that say that most, by a large majority, and I'm not good with the numbers, so forgive me, but a large percentage of the women who are harmed, sexually assaulted, never open their mouth. Why? Because of this conversation right here. It's this conversation why they like, fuck it. They're not going to believe me anyway, so why should I say anything? Now I got to prove it. I got to prove that I didn't want it.
Listen,
You know what I'm
listen,
saying?
listen,
Like
listen.
that's what we're doing.
Listen.
That's what
I
we've
hear-
always done.
Listen, I understand that.
I know you
I
do.
understand.
And so
I
that's why I'm
understand it
trying to
clearly.
understand.
But here's what you got to understand. It's a slippery slope because here's what happens, right? Let's say we just going to do this from now. Every single woman, every single black woman, every single woman, period. If they say that they were raped by a man, that man gets locked up, right? Period. We don't have no case. We don't have no court. We don't have no proof. She said it. We're going to believe her because she said it, and that man gets locked up. We can't do that because what happens next is this person robbed me. This person did this to me. This person did that to me. You cannot just move on accusations. It is fucked up, right? That people do not investigate crimes committed against women, crimes against, committed against black women, especially the way they should. Things are not looked into. We are in a situation where people get over with money and other kind of and connections and all that other shit. All of that is wrong. All of that is wrong. But we cannot lean on or live with just the word of one person fucking up another person's life with zero proof.
I think we understand each other. We're disconnected though. I don't think we're on the same page. I think this will be one of them times where we're probably.
I don't know how to fix the brainwashing, fucked up ass attitude within
And
the
that's
black
exactly
community.
why these things
I have
start going
no
left when we
idea.
have a conversation.
I have
'cause
no
that's
idea.
the real truth.
I have no idea.
That's the real truth.
I wish I knew.
I would then I would rather it start and live there and have conversation around that than to take it down this rabbit trail, which ultimately ended with people not being believed and so on and so forth that happened to be black men. I wasn't talking about y'all penis people.
Yeah, it did kind of shift. It did kind. It did.
But okay. That's what we doing with Stephisodes.
I'm not.
But I ain't gonna
I'm
let
not
it happen
asking that
again.
black men be believed. All right.
No,
I'm asking
I didn't
that black.
hear you
I'm
say
asking
that,
that.
but I
I'm
also
asking that
heard
black. I'm
justification
asking that
about
black.
things.
I'm asking that black women be believed, but I do not. Again, I do not know how to deal with these adult people.
I know it's
these
you know
adult
how you always
people.
say black people are afraid of white people.
That's me that says that.
Oh, okay. You know how you say that? This conversation ended with y'all don't want to adjust how folk act with black women. You're afraid to.
Oh no,
You're afraid to have the conversation.
I want to.
We literally went the last whatever minutes of this conversation. Most of this conversation was not about what I mentioned. And that means black women will continue to be on the short end of the stick because we don't know how to deal with our moxie cheese, as they say in the Trinidadian community. We don't know how to deal with our bullshit. And therefore it's, you know what? Ain't nobody gonna run up on me because I'm 6'this or I'm a man with a gun. Or so hey, I'm sorry, black women get this treatment, but we ain't really gonna talk about it. And that for me is problematic. I'm gonna end it right now. I'm not gonna say another word about it, but I'm telling you, it's problematic and it's why we sit where we sit within the community.
Where do we begin?
No,
I tried.
yeah. I mean,
I don't have a solution. I don't have an answer, right? Because to me, the psychological malfunction of our community is something that has been going on for so long and been fostered for so long and continues to go on. I don't even know where to begin.
You know what?
As opposed to it's just acknowledging it.
You know where I think the solution begins with the conversation. The solution begins with understanding that we're all invested in a solution, even if it may not sound like it is. The fact that we're in the conversation shows that we are. The solution comes in continuing to have the discussion with people willing to debate and discuss and try to find a happy medium. Because the truth of the matter is, if it's important to any of us, then it should be important to all of us. And we should find a way to get there. At the end of the day, I am one who is more likely to err on the side of, I agree, to err on the side of sister, because I agree that they are the most disrespected community in our country, period, bar none. I don't think that there is a discussion about it. I think that it's pretty obvious. And I think it's obvious when we look at how, specifically, if we look at the Megan conversation, and I'll talk about these two, and then I'm going to take us to our close. If we speak specifically on the Megan conversation, I think we saw our brothers, by and large, defend Tory Lanez and want to know what she did. And I compared it to the police and the brutality, because if you're on the dominant side, why do you care about what the other side feels? Why not just be a bull in a china shop? I think that's what we do. And I think we spend more time talking and less time listening. And I'm not speaking of any of us specifically. I'm speaking of us as the greater community. And, I already said what I said on R. Kelly thing. Like, we saw so many people come out and say what they said about him, and the fact that he spent so much time a free man, specifically him. And, Mama Mika mentioned Bill Cosby as well. I saw that comment come in, and there was a lot going on, so I didn't get it in. But, where there's smoke, there's fire. It's really that simple for me. Where there's smoke, there's fire. So, and you also said, Mama Mika, is a conversation that we should continue to have, and I agree with it. We just happen to be at time now. Ain't no how Steppin, Marcus J, live from NewDen Legacy Internet Radio. I'm going to shift us to our final stages as we begin the top of the third hour, and we'll finish up here shortly. Let me see. I think I have at least one more comment, and most of those comments I've been trying to get them in. Cousin Tony has been checking in. Tony, I've been seeing you, and I appreciate you. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you rocking and rolling with us. So we're going to check for some missing children, and I'm going to do something a little bit different in our moment in Black history this month. Normally, I will have several moments that I'll speak on in very brief. What I'd like to do, and I got these really awesome cards here that are great. It says great African Americans. Every time I see African American, I always want to change it and say Black people. But I asked Steph a little while ago to pick a card out of this deck. And lo and behold, look at the card that she picked. So, yeah, randomly picked Madam C.J. Walker. We're going to talk about her real quick. She was born in 1867, and she went home to be with the Lord, as some would say, in 1919. I don't know why I said that. I guess because I've been listening to a whole lot of church services, right? Because that's how they say it, right? He went home to be with the Lord. Like, wow. And it came out natural, too. I didn't even translate. I just said it, right? It just came right out. All right. So, born in Delta, Louisiana, raised on farms there and Mississippi, married by age 14, widowed at 20. Wow, I didn't know that. Madam C.J. Walker went on to become a successful hair and cosmetic entrepreneur. And by the early 20th century, the richest self-made woman in America. Yet Walker saw her personal wealth as not an end in itself, but a means to help and promote and expand economic opportunities for others, especially African Americans. She took great pride in the profitable employment and alternative to domestic labor that her company afforded many thousands of Black women who worked as commissioned agents. Walker was also well known for her philanthropy, supporting African American educational and social institutions from the national to the grassroots levels. Walker's daughter, Layla, carried on with this tradition, opening her mother's and her homes to writers and artists of the emergent Harlem Renaissance and becoming a catalytic figure in the movement. Tonight, we profile and we celebrate Madam C.J. Walker. Peace and blessings to the sister, the ancestor. So tonight we're going to also look for some missing children. We're looking first for Tanika Zango. She's been missing since August 6th, 2023, right here in the capital city, Henrico. 14-year-old Black female. She's 5'1", 100. Last seen on August 6th. There's no info on what she was wearing or anything or the circumstances, but I post all of these things. I need to get better at mentioning this, that all of the missing children that we profile will always be seen on our personal pages as well as the Legacy Internet Radio page, and the Ain't No Half Step with Marcus J page. So if you hear us profile someone and you want to get a better look or you want to see the missing poster, by all means go to our page. I can say it here, but the information will be on our pages. So and also I'll share with you to like and share. So if you're watching and you're viewing and you're rocking with us, please share this to your social media as you think we dope. Perhaps the others may as well. But getting back to our sister Tonika Zanga, if you've seen her, please contact the Henrico County Police Department at 804 501 5000. We're also looking for Jonathan Shears. Jonathan Shears has been missing since July 12th from Dinwiddie, which is south of us in the Petersburg area. Think Henrico to Richmond, Dinwiddie to Petersburg. 15-year-old black male. He's 5'8", weighs 250 pounds. Last seen wearing black pants, black shirt, black sneakers. His hair is styled in two-strand twist and extend down to his shoulders. He requires medication and may be in the need of medical attention. If you've seen Jonathan Shears, please contact the Dinwiddie County Sheriff's Office at 804 469 4550. So let's recap. If you've seen Jonathan Shears or if you have seen Tanika Zango, please contact the National Center for Missing and or Exploited Children on their website, missingkids.org, or contact on their website, or on their phone number, 1-800-THE-LOST, 1-800-843-5678. Two cases that we will always keep our eyes on. First, we're looking for Tiara Williams out of Greensboro, missing, Greensboro, North Carolina, missing since January 7th. Last seen in the Stony Brook Apartments, Webster Road area, wearing black North Face jacket, pink shirt, dark blue Levi's, and a blue knit cap. Born on June 18th, 1996. So if my math serves me, that makes her 27 now, I think. 27 now. So keep your eyes open for Tiara Williams in our Greensboro viewing area, Greensboro, North Carolina. We're going to always look here for our sister Keisha Jacobs. She's been missing also since 1996. She has been missing from here in the Richmond area. Last seen in the 3100 block of East Broad and Churchill near Chimborazo Park, wearing black basketball shorts, pink and black Nike shoes, pink scarf. She's got tattoos on her right foot, right leg, right hand, and a leaf of paws and a flower. If you have information on her whereabouts, please contact the Major Crimes Detective Williams Thompson at 804-646-3925 or call Crime Stoppers here in Richmond at 804-781-1000. Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy Internet Radio. So I think we've gotten our housekeeping out of the way. So before we go through our rants and our closings, John was so great to choose our affirmations today while we were going through. I had him choose. So he picked for you, Steph. He picked for me. And so I'm going to have John read yours first. Steph, you'll read yours next. And then I'll read mine. What you got, bro?
Bad vision is what I have.
Where your glasses, man? You had them earlier.
No, I'm good.
Yeah, he's good. I'm not good though. I'll be switching between off and on the whole time I read mine. Go ahead, bro.
Today I believe. Today I will see the miracles and love surrounding me.
I like that. Yeah.
Today is a fresh start. Today is a brand new day that I will embrace as a new beginning and make the most of this day.
Yeah, man. I like these because, even when you have a moment where you may not be feeling the card, when you read it, it's like, oh, I like that. It just happens, right?
Yes.
So today I am glowing. Today I have huge amounts of energy and focus to take on any challenge. So, yeah, I can dig it. Ain't No Half Step, Marcus J. I have my moments. Yeah, I got a new haircut, so I guess that's why I'm glowing. Yeah, Ain't No Half Step, Marcus J. live from NewDen Legacy and Radio. All right, John, you got the con. It's time for you to close us with your rant and with your closing. I appreciate you, brother. Whatever it is on your mind, share it with them.
I want to begin this closing with an apology to Steph because I didn't. No, because I didn't address your topic appropriately. And just in the moments here, sitting here thinking about what it is, I want you guys to understand something about me. Two of you, I don't think know this. You've never been in police custody, right, Marcus?
I have.
You've
I've told
been-
that story many times
No,
on
no,
this
no.
show.
Were you in jail?
No, I ain't ever going to jail, but I've
Okay.
been in police custody, which is what you
Okay.
asked me.
All right. Let's see.
No,
Right, okay.
ain't never been in jail.
Have you ever been in jail? Okay. I've been in jail a few times, right? I've never been
Some court things you got to go in front of magistrates.
I've never been ever convicted of anything.
Traffic in Chesterfield all the time.
A couple of times, a few of the times I've been in jail, I was accused of things that I didn't do. I was accused of things I couldn't have done. I was accused of things that were done while I was in another state, but I was in police custody. I went to an attorney one time to try to deal with custody, one of my children. I went to a woman attorney and she told me, I'm not going to take your money. I said, why not? I said, I want to, listen, is the mother of the child an active drug addict? I said, no. Okay, well, then you're not going to win. I said, but she doesn't work. I work. I make money. I said, yeah, no, you're not going to win. If the mother's not an active drug addict, you're not going to win. And even if she is an active drug addict, you got less than a 50% chance of winning custody. Right? These things create a bias, right? Especially when we start talking about the criminal justice system. Whenever it's mentioned, I'm triggered. And in that triggering, right, we get me not appropriately dealing with your topic. And that's why I want to apologize. I also want to say we got to understand that we don't, and I'm going to hold fast on this one, we don't get victories here. We think we do. They tell us that we do, but we continuously lose because we are willingly participating in our own destruction. Right? I asked a question about what do we do? Here's where we start. We start this by one, giving the white man back his God. We'll start right there. We'll start by acknowledging and understanding that we are operating in a system that is designed for us to lose. Right? Stop accepting the things that are said to us. I'm not saying don't maneuver. I'm not saying don't get your money. I'm not saying don't create the life that you want to live. But stop falling for the banana in the tailpipe. Right? If they're telling you something, they're lying to you. If they're telling you something, they're lying to you. This is this country. This is where we live. Accept it, move around it, and stop trying to be a part of it. Stop trying to attach yourself to this bullshit. Right? That's the problem. But we start thinking that we're part of this system and we could do what they do. We can't do what they do because we're gonna be judged differently. We're gonna be held accountable differently. Right? And we got to understand that. We got to do our thing and stop trying to do their thing. And stop letting them do our thing and act like it's cool. It's not cool. It's not cool. Fuck Bo Derek. And people old enough to know what I mean. Right? We got to stop. It's not okay. Fuck inclusion because we're not included. That's the problem. Every single war fought on the continent of Africa, the tribes initially beat back the colonizers. It wasn't until they agreed to peace that they were conquered when stabbed in the back. We got to stop this. They not nice. They don't like us. They don't want to be around us. And I know here we go again with the all, it ain't all. Fuck, it ain't all. They don't like us. They don't want to be around us. Don't believe shit they got to say. If they shaking your hand, they trying to rob you. If they're giving you compliments, they trying to bring down your awareness so they can hurt you. Keep that in mind and stop dealing with the bullshit. Stop dealing with it. Just get your life together. Focus on what you can control, your locus of control. What can you put your hand on and move in a good direction for you? That's what you need to deal with. Please put your phone down. I go outside sometimes and I don't bring my phone. Sometimes intentionally, sometimes unintentionally, but I don't turn around and come back for it. I don't. Stop living your life on your phone. Stop living your life to be online. I go online. I play with the social media stuff and all that, but I don't give a damn about it. What people say don't affect me. How people think don't affect me. Right? All I'm trying to do is continue to be myself, my true self, and love the life that I live, the life that I've created for myself. And if individuals can get into that and get away from this bullshit, right? I had a Big John the Jeweler gem of the day the other day. I said, never want what other people have because you don't know what they did to get what they got. And that's the problem. Everybody wants what the next person had. You don't know what they did. The Beehive community going crazy about Beyonce. You don't know what she had to do to get where she is. You don't know. I don't want to speculate. Right? But I don't want what she got. I don't want what Jay-Z got. That's my boy. I don't want that. Because I don't know what he did to get it. I know what I did to get what I got, and I'm happy with that. And I'm satisfied and I'm good with it. And that's my closing.
You know, I have Steppin with Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy Internet Radio. Time to take us home, Steph B. I appreciate you. You give us a lot of grace and patience, and we just boys. Close us out, my sister.
First of all, I appreciate the apology. Thank you, John. I do. And I want people to recognize that, being connected and loving other people is never going to diminish the passion that I have for whatever topic I'm speaking about. So you might see me react very passionately, but when the cameras go off, we go right back to exactly the relationship that we have. And my passion is necessary because there are not often people that have any sort of platform that are speaking out for girls and women that are impacted. I'm always going to do that. But I ain't no punk either. So you don't have to worry. Steph being going home crying about nothing.
Yes, ma'am.
We good. We
Hey,
good.
girl. Hey.
I wanted to talk about, first of all, thank you both, brothers. I appreciate the show tonight and the platform and location and the good drinks. Thank you. But I wanted to talk about something very briefly. School is coming back. I guess here in Virginia, it's going to be in a couple weeks or August 21st. When you don't have kids in school, it's shocking how, you walk outside and you're like, oh, kids. Oh, they going to school? I didn't know that. You're like, I had no clue. I had to ask one of my girlfriends. I was like, are the kids back in school? And she said no and told me the date. And we are all watching. We're all being gaslit by the culture that is removing AP African American Studies, by the culture that wants to use the visage of Frederick Douglass to teach our children that the founding fathers had a good idea. They just were a little misled. And there is going to be this consistent thing. It's not going to go away because enough people are not visibly angry about it. And now the place you are going to send your children, it may not be in Florida, but we have a governor here in Virginia. We have Moms of Liberty and other misinformation groups around the country, and their primary focus is pushing revisionist history, specifically aimed at the history of Black people in America. Their aim is to push that revisionist history into the environment to change the narrative so that they don't have to answer for the history of the people that created the narrative that we all live under. And we are continuing to focus on Black excellence as capitalism. While we are focusing on Black excellence as capitalism only, which is a huge thing, that's what we value. It's why we can ignore when wealthy people do terrible things. When we do that, we miss out on the thing that actually allowed Black excellence to take root. And if you look back for many years, Black excellence has been rooted in action and information. Now, if that action and information generated revenue, capital, profit, great. But it had to start with action and information. And I'm saying that because as your children go into school and you leave them in the charge and care of someone else for 8 hours a day, they will spend more time listening to someone else's voice than yours. It's important to ask them at the end of the day what they learned. It's important to do a gut check of the educational environment that your children are going into, because there is a significant level of comfort in telling our children a lie about their birthright, their ancestry, where they come from. And once that misinformation takes root, you will see a lack of action that creates the excellence that we always have been seeking. If Black children are not taught and exposed, taught about and exposed to the things that have occurred in Black America and the things that people did to rise above the things that were being done to them, if Black children constantly hear you saying things like, I'm not my elders, I'm not my ancestors, likely you're not. You weren't bopped up the head like against the head like John Lewis. You weren't stabbed or beaten or assassinated, and aren't risking assassination like Martin Luther King. You weren't willing to risk a lot of the things that our ancestors did. We live a comfortable life in comparison. So no, you are not the ancestors. You're not the elders. You would not likely be willing to fight to sit in the front of the bus and go to jail for it. So no, you're not them. But they need to know about those people, and they need to know the whys of those people. And education system is fighting hard to make sure that they don't hear these stories, that these stories become legend, and that the legend is only spoken about in the midst of conversations that are shock and awe instead of a reality that you need to be working from. Black excellence is rooted in action and information. And so there is a book that I would encourage you all to get. To start off, I started reading this book to my children when they were in, actually, when we moved here to Virginia, and I realized that Virginia schools were highly focused on Virginia history in a very narrow, myopic perspective. And so I started reading this book to my children as a counterbalance, and it's called Lies My Teacher Told Me. Everything Your American History Textbook Got Wrong. And it's written by James Lowen. And it's an excellent book. I see Marcus sitting here shaking his head. You have the book. It is one of my favorite books on my bookshelves. And I have books by everyone from Michael Eric Dyson to Bell Hooks and Audre Lorde. And, I have books that tell stories, a book called Bullwhip Days that I would recommend you get. It is the last stories of the last living enslaved people, post-freedom, post-emancipation. But Lies My Teacher Told Me is written by an academic, and it starts as far back as the revisionist history of Columbus and goes all the way now and includes a new chapter on 9/11 and the Iraq War. And I challenge and encourage you to pick this book up. It's on Amazon. It's, you know, you can get the paperback for $20. You can get a used hardcover for $19. It's also an audiobook. I challenge you to read it through with your children, because American excellence, Black excellence, is rooted in information and action. The information has to be correct. It has to be delivered in a way that's understood. It has to be honest, not misinformation. And then you will see the type of action that generates the excellence you've been looking for. If someone understands what Madam C.J. Walker did to establish herself as a Black entrepreneur, if someone understands, your children understand the first Black banking system, if they understand those things, they will work toward those things. They will hear stories truly of excellence that will inspire action for them to be repetitive in an excellent nature. So again, that book is called Lies My Teacher Told Me: Everything Your American History Textbook Got Wrong. I say read it with and to your children, because it creates conversation. It sparks critical thinking. It will force them to do something that we have taken away from many of our children, which is ask questions: how, what, when, where, why. And they will also do that in their school environments. Without information that stokes action, there is no true Black excellence. And that's my rant.
Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Live from NewDen Legacy and that radio. Uncle H said he heard the lecture about 15 years ago, and he heard that it was an excellent book. I have that book. I can endorse, or as we say, I'm picking up what you're putting down. Yeah. So thank you for who you guys are, man. We had a spirited show. I like when we have spirited shows. This thing is, right, nothing can grow without pain. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can't grow unless we have some sort of pain. So I enjoy when we dialogue. I think that we are all invested in solutions. We come to them in different ways. We come to analysis in our topics in different manners. I think that we all have the kind of heart that is something for us to work with. Like, John's got the kind of heart you can work with. Steph's got the kind of heart that you can work with. So do I. I think we are invested in working with one another. And I enjoy banging our heads onto each other from time to time, like a ram, and see what happens in the aftermath. Because again, that's the only way that you grow. Shout out to Mama Mika. She's been rocking with us all night. And commenting. I couldn't get them all in, but I got a lot of them in. So that's alumni for you. It's funny, and I'll get to my rant, but I'll just say this, and then I'll get to my rant. The people who love us, John, Steph. Jersey City comes through. John, your people always come through, check in. Steph, your people check in. Jersey City checks in. The alumni of Legacy and Radio, the 12 years that we can call from, we check in. So I'm just happy about that, and I'm proud of that. I've got a very, very special guest booked for a show later on in the future. I'm not ready to tell the listeners who that guest is, but I will lead with this particular person who's already been confirmed is very important to the foundation and the history of our show. So we wouldn't be here without this person. So I look forward to bringing them to you. We're looking to target the 28th of August, I believe is the date that we've talked about. So that doesn't mean don't be with us next week, but it does mean make sure that you're with us on the 28th of August, because you're going to want to hear from this person. So here's where I close us out with my own rant and my own closing. And I'm excited. Often I will share with you all something that has been on my mind for a little while. I will take you down a brief trip down memory lane. This is how I will rant and close. We're going to start today on August 11th, 1992. August 11th, 1992, and it's in the early hours. It's before sunrise, and Pops helped me fill the big white rented Cadillac, put all my shit in it, and we got down here in Richmond in style. I came to Richmond actually. There were three people who I came here with, all from high school, one from the old neighborhood, all from high school. And peace to my sister Urana, because I wasn't coming to Richmond without her. So I had Pop drive from Jersey City to Newark, and we sat outside her house until her family got her ready. And we convoyed down here to Richmond, Virginia. So I came down here with family. And so I appreciate it. I wanted to shout you out, Urana, because I don't think I have in all of the years I've been doing this. And my journey here in Richmond starts with being your big brother, as you to this day still call me. And it was 2 months after that that Pop brought my boys down here. It was cool. He brought Damon and Dub and our brother Quiet B to Virginia Union's homecoming, and we four got together and we ran away from Pop. Pop was like, hey, we love you, man, but we wanted to do the college, teenager thing. So that was fun. This is 31 years ago, y'all. 31 years. I've been in this town. I've been lucky to find the tribes that I've had. The tribe that I've had here in Legacy and their radio. The tribes that I've had on my yoga mat. It's definitely a culture shock with us being here in the capital of the Confederacy. It's very different from what I was used to in New Jersey. But I think about the past 12 years that we've had on the show. And I think about the people that I've been able to meet. I've had the honor of interviewing a current sitting United States congressperson, many politicians, doulas, Israelites, clairvoyants, rappers, professional athletes, artists, authors, writers, chefs, activists, clergy, entrepreneurs, civil rights leaders, educators, and more. Producing shows in places as diverse as malls, coffee shops, bars, clubs, churches, every single place in between, because folks knew they wanted to have their message put out there in a fair manner. They knew that they would get that from me, Marcus J. So I want to give a shout out to those folks. A special shout out to on-air personalities, folks who have been a part of us, the alumni on air, and those folks who just showed up, like bruh man in the room. I want to give a special shout out to the original seven. You guys know who you are. I appreciate you. I simply leave you with a thank you. Obviously, these days, my priorities have shifted. I prefer the solitude and community of the yoga mat these days, but I am reminded of the blessings bestowed upon me by the great architect of the universe to have found my tribe in many ways. On the 31st anniversary of my residency here in Richmond, Virginia, I was blessed to be able to take a James River cruise led by our wonderful skipper, Ashley Williams, the founder and owner of Bare Soul Yoga and the Well Collective. Just a quick anecdote on Ashley Williams and how we are all connected and how small the world is. And she is one of my many, many yoga teachers and instructors and mentors and friends. But I met her in the den of Legacy and their radio years before I was thinking about doing any yoga. She was one of the many people who had come through that room. And so I think about what we've done here in the last 12. Of course, I've been here 31, but I think about the last 12 specifically with that being something that I've been a part of. And it's an absolute blessing. Absolute blessing. The irony was on my 31st anniversary here in Richmond, Virginia, after that river cruise, which was cool as hell, y'all, by the way, because I'm used to being on the banks of the river, not used to being on the river. So that was really, really cool. And thank you to the four others who were on the boat with me. But on the 11th, after I finished the cruise, I got in the car and drove to Jersey, or Mama drove to Jersey. And the irony of having so much love for, I'm wearing my New Jersey City hat right now. Like, I love Jersey. It's where I'm from. I love Richmond. That's where I became a man. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm very blessed to have dual residencies or dual loves, or as Rakim said, it ain't where you from, it's where you at. Where I'm from and I'm at Richmond, Virginia, and Jersey City, New Jersey. So this is a love letter to both, but more specifically the past 31 years. Happy anniversary to me, Richmond. Appreciate it. That's my Marcus's unrelated rants. Got nothing to do. We here talking about tonight. It's the end of the show. Remind everybody, independence is the key to building your legacy. Also want to say peace to all of the stars and all of the squares. In the abundance of water, the fool is thirsty. Those are the words of Bob Marley, who I think you might still hear singing in the background. I turned the volume down. I can't hear it, but I think y'all can hear it. It ain't over yet. I ain't talked 6 minutes. I want you to be blessed. I want you to give grace. I need you to keep it 100. And remember that authenticity has no competition. We've been doing this 12 years. Hopefully, we'll be around for a whole lot more. For John, for Steph, for yours truly, and the crew, you will be back real soon. Appreciate y'all. Peace.
Oh yeah, I'm with this, with it. I'm just gonna lay back and I'ma drop some smooth lyrics. So tune in 7 to 9:30 and don't be late. We about to set it straight. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Word. I'm ready, let's go. Ain't no half stepping, that's the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With you flowing this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk, running back. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk. Steppin', that's the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With you flowing this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk.